Yo, what's going on, guys? Today is Taco Tuesday. You can see my shirt there. And today I'll be preparing some tacos that I make quite often, some chicken fajita tacos using Chipotle Mojo. Let me get in here and show you what I'm talking about. Mojo is a Cuban spice, and Cuban food traditionally is not spicy at all. And in case you didn't know, yes, I am actually Cuban. But yeah, so this, I think, you know, the Chipotle one is going to probably be more of an American take on a Cuban seasoning. So this is what I grew up with a lot, use this on a lot of different meats and things, and we'll be doing one batch of chicken with that, and then the other we'll be doing with the Chipotle Mojo. So it is about midday right now, and I will be preparing all this to season for a bit, and then later this afternoon I'll actually prepare it all. So just wanted to bring you guys along to see how I actually go about seasoning this. All right. First thing is, let's get this chicken washed to make sure there's no chances of salmonella. And as I wash them, I'll be placing them into these plastic bags here. And a little trick I like to, this bag just ripped on me. Let's see if I can get it to open. There we go. A little trick I like to do to make the bags stay open for me as I put seasonings and stuff in them is if you just flip the top back, they'll usually kind of stand up on their own. Let me do this one over here so you can get a better angle of that. Basically open the bag, flip it back just a little bit, and it's set. If you guys hear a bunch of beeping in the background, I do apologize. If you can see, I've mentioned this in some of my videos before, I live across the street from a school and they are redoing all the roads. So constant beeping with all the different tractors and stuff they're using. All right, so let me get back to what I was doing and get this chicken washed. Basically all I do is just room temperature water, not hot, not cold, and just give it a good rinse. Try to get as much of that water off there as possible and toss it in the bag. Go in for another one. I'll go ahead and pull off some of the fat and stuff too. All right. Let me get that one off too. Okay. And since I'm doing two different sets of seasoning, that's why I've got two different bags. I'm gonna season one for dinner tonight, and then the other one we'll probably use in a few days, or we'll freeze it and use it next Tuesday. All right. Simple as that. And I will toss all this in the trash. All right, now that I've got these here, let me change the view here just a bit so you can see a little better what I'm doing. All right, so that one will be the regular Mojo. This one will be the Chipotle. I do actually already have two of these that are open, so I'll be using those. But I don't really honestly measure this out a whole lot. I just kind of guess. Just pour a good amount in there. And what you'll see too, the difference in the two of these, this one's almost more like a barbecue based. And then this one is almost like, the way it separates is almost like more like an Italian dressing. And the same thing, I'll just kind of pour some in. There we go. All right. The only thing that differs on the seasoning of the two on how I do these is on the one with the regular Mojo, I add a little bit of honey. And the reason I do that is because the extra seasonings that I add, I just want them to stick on. All right, other than that, everything else I do is the same. And I don't add a whole lot more. I add some garlic. You can see here this minced garlic. Just because I love garlic, and so does my roommate. So about a spoonful, put that one in there, that one in there. That's done. Since both Mojos already have a bit of salt in them, I don't add any salt, and the garlic is already kind of salty. I am going to use this seasoned salt, and it too also has obviously some salt, so no need to add additional salt. And these are pretty much the only spices that I put in here when I make this. Same thing, I don't measure, I just kind of guess. All right, and flip that back. I like to keep as much of the air out as possible, so I take the bag all the way down and kind of roll it and then seal it. And I'll do the same thing on this one. Take it down as far as I can, roll it, seal it. All right, and once I've done that, I just kind of mix it around, especially on the one with the regular Mojo that I put the honey in, because I want to make sure that that honey is getting mixed in with everything, so that that seasoning will stick really nicely to it. So what I'll do is I'm not going to freeze this one just yet. I'll let it marinate in the fridge for a little while until dinner time when I cook this one, and then I'll move it from the fridge to the freezer. So I'm just going to do the same thing here. All right, all I have left to do with these now is take them to the fridge. And let them marinate for a while. So that's it for the first part of this video. Like I said, I'll be back later this evening to finish off. We'll be eating it with black beans and some wild brown rice. And yeah, that's about it. So I will see you guys in just a bit. All right, and we are back. So everything's been marinating for a while now. I'm gonna go ahead and transfer this one. That's the regular Mojo, not the Chipotle. I'll transfer that to the freezer for another day. And this is the Chipotle one. So all right, so I'm gonna start with, let me show you guys what I'm working with. I've just got a regular old skillet here, and you already saw me season everything, so let me just go ahead and show you what we're gonna do. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna use that same trick I showed you earlier so that all the sauce doesn't end up in the lines there. Bam. I'm literally just going to go ahead and pour this into the skillet. Let's try to get as much of that sauce as we can. And then I can just zip this up and toss it in the trash. All right, I generally like to start the breast facing on the downward side, and I also like to try to get a little bit of the sauce in between it and the pan, like this. And let me go ahead and get the pilot going. All right, I usually put it at about a kind of a medium heat here. Let me get that, a little bit like a medium there. And I like to put the lid on it. So you can cook it without the lid. The only problem is if you do that, it'll get dry. So I found that if you cook it with the lid, it kind of steams it a little bit more and doesn't dry it out quite so much. So while that is going, let me go ahead and start prepping the beans. Now the beans, I do almost the exact same seasoning as the fajitas that we're cooking right now. I say fajitas, I know fajitas are generally on a grill, but it's still chicken meat. All right, so little trick here, most of you probably already know this, but I like to drain out about half the sauce. So if you go almost to the end, but not quite, it makes like a little flap, and then you can just kind of use that as kind of like a little drainer. And I know generally just from about the weight, how much is about halfway on that. So yeah, do that about halfway. Dump those beans. Now you can use any black beans you want, but I lean towards the ranch style brand just because I've tried many of them and it usually tastes the best. The other reason I use the ranch style brand is because I've tried some of the other ones in the past, and the beans are a little harder on the other ones. These feel a little more evenly cooked. So like I said, I use very similar stuff. I use some of the same seasoned salt. This is the Morton Season All seasoned salt. I use some of the Chipotle Mojo. That should actually be about perfect. And let me grab from the fridge. I put some garlic in there as well. And I do basically about that much of the minced garlic. All right, and then pretty much just stir all this in. Mix it with the black bean sauce that was already there and the chipotle sauce that I've added. And voila. So I'm only gonna do about 1 minute on these in the microwave because they take about 20 minutes, 15 minutes for the chicken to be done. And so I just wanna cook these about halfway right now. All right. And then I got my little assistant down here, Miss Daisy. Daisy, Daisy, Daisy. Daisy girl. She loves to watch us cook. She just sits here and begs and begs and begs. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and check on the chicken. I like to flip it quite a bit. So I like to flip it so it doesn't get too dry, and so it also doesn't get stuck to the bottom, and that way also the seasoning the seasoning will cook in pretty evenly. So after I flip them, I just take a regular old spoon here, tilt the pan a little bit, and try to toss some of that seasoning on top there. And we'll do the same thing for this one here. All right, and let's put the lid back on and let that continue to cook. All right, since I'm done with these things, I'm gonna go ahead and put them back up. For the rice, nothing fancy. I basically heat one of these up. If my roommate decides to eat some, then we basically just split it. If he doesn't eat any, then I just save half of it for the next go round, because there's always leftovers with this meal. These are just super easy. You just cook it in the microwave for 1 minute. So same thing, I'm not gonna cook this yet, not until we get towards the end, but I'm just getting things prepped while the chicken's cooking. All right, so we will go ahead and set this over here. And something else I go ahead and get ready ahead of time are the tortillas. So we'll eat probably two tacos each. I'll go ahead and get 4 tortillas, and I'll show you a little trick I use to heat those up. So for the tortillas, I just take a full-size paper towel and get it just a little bit wet. Don't need a whole lot. Let me get just a little more than that. And then I'll kind of fold it all up to make it damp all the way throughout. And I'll take that paper towel and wrap the tortillas. So when it gets down to almost time to eat, I will throw those in the microwave for about 20 seconds, and the moisture from the paper towel will keep those nice and soft. By the way, I'm not a professional cook or anything like that. This is just something that I really enjoy eating, and I've been making for several years now, so I've gotten pretty good at it. All right, let's go ahead and take a peek at the chicken. It might be time to flip it again. All right, you can see that the sauce is starting to kind of get dried out there. So it tells me that the temperature is a little too high, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. And let's go ahead and flip these once again. Yeah, you can see it's a little too high on the temperature because it shouldn't be so dry there below. So let's get a little bit of sauce there before we flip these. All right. And now that I've got those flipped, I'm gonna do the same thing here. Gonna tilt the pan and baste those again. All right. We'll let that go for a few more minutes and then I will check it again. Those chicken breasts are kind of thick. So sometimes what I end up having to do is just cut them in half to make sure that they're cooking through properly. And then just kind of guesstimate it from there. All right, while we're waiting for things to finish up, I thought I'd talk about the Mojo a little bit more. So the brand that I'm using here is called Goya. There we go. And you can find the Goya brand literally just about anywhere. It's at Walmart's, and here in Texas it's at a lot of stores. Now, the brand that I grew up eating of the regular Mojo was not Goya. It was a brand called, I think it's called La Lachanera. And here locally, you can only find the La Lachanera brand at Fiesta, I believe, these days. And Fiesta is a grocery chain here throughout Texas that's pretty big for Latin food and Asian food and a lot of the cultural based foods that are not just going to be in your everyday grocery stores. However, Goya is also pretty big on the same style of foods, and you can find Goya in Walmart, I believe, H-E-B, I could be wrong, Randall's, I think Kroger's, but basically you can find Goya just about everywhere here in the Texas market. I'm not sure how that is nationwide. And another thing to mention is that this Chipotle one that I'm using, that's a Goya thing. So you're not gonna find that in the La Lachanera brand. That's only gonna be Goya. So this isn't sponsored by Goya or anything. It's just trying to let you guys know what products I'm using to make this food. Same thing with the minced garlic or the chopped garlic. I don't even know where this one's from. It might be H-E-B or Walmart, but you can find this in just about any grocery store. Sometimes it's going to be in the produce section. Sometimes it might be on the spice aisle. Now I will say though that this spice that I use, the Morton Season All Seasoned Salt, this is one of my favorite Season All seasons. And there was a period of time where I had run out of it and I couldn't figure out where to buy it. And I had looked all over the place and I finally found it again at H-E-B. So again, that's a Texas food chain, grocery chain. I don't know where you can find it outside of Texas. I was surprised that I couldn't find this at Walmart. So I'm happy that I figured out where to buy it again, because it's one of my favorite ones. And I even actually, if you look, I bought a second one back there just in case I run into that same problem again of not being able to find it. All right, so let's take a look at this chicken. I can tell that it's sizzling, and that tells me I think it might be getting time to check it. Yeah, it's definitely getting too dried out in there. Let me turn this heat down a lot. This chicken's actually probably already done, but I'm gonna go ahead and flip it real quick. And then what I'll do is I'm gonna take this larger piece over to the cutting board and cut it in half. And if it's not pink in the middle, then that means it is done. All right, let's see how this is looking. It's super tender. And I believe that is cooked. We're getting a better shot on the GoPro, I think. Believe that's cooked all the way through. I'm gonna check over here in the light real quick. Yeah, that is done. So So I'll go ahead and just actually leave that on the cutting board. And let me turn off the stove top real quick. And let's go ahead and pull this other breast off here. I don't want this to get dried out. All right, so the beans need about 2 minutes solid. We did 1 minute earlier, but I'm gonna go ahead and do a full 2 minutes again right now, since it's been a little while since I started them. And then we will go ahead and get the rice and the tortillas going next. All right, it's time to pull these beans out of the microwave. Let me get the hot pads for that so I'm not burning my fingers. Let's take a look at these beans real quick before we get into this chicken. All right, let's just get a quick stir on these beans while they're still really hot. And those are basically done. Here's what those look like. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close those up for now. All right, let's go ahead and start cutting up all this chicken breast. Since these breasts are so thick, I basically cut them down the middle, as you already saw me do there. Then I stand them up on their side there. Give it one more cut. Let's do that on all 4 of them. Basically, I can usually get, for my roommate and I, 2 meals out of 2 chicken breasts by cutting them up like this. It goes a little further. All right. Now I'm gonna get it all cut up and put it in this bowl over here. That way, if there's any juices or anything, it all keeps kind of soaking in together and keeps all the flavor locked in. All right, only 2 things left to do, and that is to heat up the rice. It's just the easy cook rice, so it's only 1 minute. And then following that, I'll be throwing these tortillas in there for about 20 seconds with a damp paper napkin. And then we will be showing you the final product. All right, so they come out nice and soft after you put the paper napkin over them. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching me cook up these tacos. I'm not gonna waste y'all's time watching me eat, so I will see you guys in the next video. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do so. Give this video a thumbs up and click the little bell in the bottom corner so that you'll get notifications every time I upload a new video. See ya.